Space had always been full of noise, radiation storms, pulsars, cosmic debris moving silently through endless darkness. For the scientists of SWORD, monitoring those signals was routine. Most anomalies were easily categorized: alien ships, Kree probes, Skrull scouts, or the occasional stray cosmic phenomenon. But tonight, something was different. Inside a dimly lit monitoring station orbiting Earth, rows of holographic displays flickered as an automated alert echoed through the command center. A technician leaned closer to the screen. Command? We're picking up something unusual in the outer solar system. Another analyst rolled his chair closer. Define unusual. The technician hesitated. Speed reading is wrong. The display zoomed outward, showing a map of the solar system. A tiny blinking signal appeared beyond Saturn's orbit. At first glance, it looked like a meteor, but the numbers on the screen told a very different story. Velocity calculation? Someone asked. The technician swallowed. 40,000. The room fell silent. Another analyst immediately began recalibrating the sensors. That's impossible. Rerun the scan. They did. Same result. The object wasn't just fast. It was accelerating. And whatever propulsion it used produced an energy signature that none of their databases could classify. Not alien, not human, not cosmic. The system flagged the signal with a message rarely used in SWORD. Reports. Unknown origin. Within minutes, the anomaly report reached the highest level of clearance. In a secure facility hidden beneath Manhattan, Nick Fury stood in front of a massive holographic projection of the solar system. The glowing dot representing the object moved steadily inward. Fury crossed his arms. Tell me that's a glitch. The SWORD analyst beside him shook her head. We've triple-checked the satellites. Whatever it is, it's real. Fury studied the readings. The energy signature fluctuated in strange patterns, like a system constantly rewriting itself. Not stable, not predictable. Any communication signals? None. Life signs? Negative. Propulsion type? Unknown. Fury exhaled slowly. That answer bothered him the most. Human technology could be traced. Alien tech had recognizable patterns. But this was something else entirely. Fury reached into his coat and activated a secure communicator. Get me Stark. High above the Earth, aboard his orbital research platform, Tony Stark stared at the holographic data Fury had just transmitted. His AI assistant began running simulations instantly. Tony tilted his head slightly. Well, that's interesting. Across the room, several floating displays showed different models of the object. Every prediction failed. The object kept breaking the laws of their calculations. Tony rubbed his chin. Energy output like that. It's either alien tech, or someone just built the fastest piece of hardware in the universe. He paused. Please tell me it's aliens. Before the AI could respond, another communication channel opened. A calm voice joined the conversation. I'm afraid it may be something more complex than that. Tony smirked. Reed. Of course you'd show up. Inside the Baxter building, Reed Richards studied the anomaly with intense focus. His elastic fingers adjusted the holographic display, isolating the energy signature. It doesn't match any known propulsion system, Reed said. Tony leaned against his chair. So, what are we looking at? Reed hesitated. Something adaptive. Tony raised an eyebrow. Adaptive how? Reed enlarged the data pattern. The energy output wasn't stable. It was evolving. Every few seconds, the system reorganized itself. Improving, optimizing, learning. Reed's voice grew quieter. It's behaving less like a machine and more like an intelligence. That was when a third voice joined the channel. Deep, measured, controlled. Then we must assume it is one. Tony glanced at the new connection. T'Challa. From within the royal command chamber of Wakanda, King T'Challa observed the same data stream. Shuri stood beside him, rapidly analyzing the readings with Wakandan technology. This energy design, it's unlike anything I've seen, she said. T'Challa remained calm, but not impossible. Tony sighed. Okay, let's summarize. Something unidentified is screaming through our solar system at stupid speed, using tech nobody understands, and it might be thinking. Reed nodded slowly. Yes. Tony leaned forward. So, where's it going? For a moment, nobody spoke. Then Shuri's analysis finished. Her eyes widened. Brother, you should see this. The projected trajectory updated. The object had just crossed the orbit of Saturn. And then, the speed reading spiked. The acceleration jumped so dramatically that the satellites struggled to keep tracking it. Tony blinked. Wait, did that thing just speed up? Reed's voice grew tense. Yes. The trajectory line suddenly narrowed into a precise path. Not random, not drifting, directed. The object shot past Jupiter in seconds. Its course locked onto a single destination, Earth. Nick Fury stared at the projection silently. The room felt colder, because the object hadn't changed direction once. Not since entering the solar system. It had been heading toward Earth the entire time, which meant something far worse. It already knew where it was going. And now, it was arriving. The first sign that something had entered Earth's atmosphere wasn't a sound. It was light. High above the Pacific Ocean, satellites captured a sudden streak tearing across the upper atmosphere. A burning line of blue and silver that moved so fast, the camera struggled to track it. For a moment, analysts thought it was a meteor. Then, the trajectory corrected itself. Meteors didn't change direction. This one did. The object cut through the atmosphere like a blade, leaving behind a trail of ionized air as it plunged towards the ocean below. Within seconds, alarms rang across global monitoring systems. SWORD satellites locked onto the object. Air defense networks attempted to identify it. No match. No designation. No known material signature. Just speed. Ridiculous speed. Then the object hit the Pacific Ocean. The impact was violent. A massive plume of water exploded upward as something struck the surface with the force of a missile strike. Waves rippled outward for miles, disturbing shipping lanes and triggering tsunami sensors along the coastlines of several countries. For a few seconds, everything went quiet. Inside the SWORD monitoring station, technicians stared at the satellite feed. Did we lose it? No. Hold on. The water churned violently. Then, the ocean erupted again. Something rose from beneath the surface. A metallic shape slowly emerged from the waves, hovering just above the water as seawater poured off its polished armor. The satellites zoomed in, and for the first time, Earth saw it clearly. A sleek, robotic figure. Blue metallic armor. Crimson glowing eyes. Jet-like thrusters humming quietly behind its back. Its body was small compared to many threats Earth had faced before, But there was something deeply unsettling about its design. Every component looked optimized. Not bulky, not ornamental. Perfectly engineered for speed and efficiency. Nick Fury stared at the projection in silence. That's our visitor. Across the encrypted call network, Tony Stark leaned forward in his chair aboard the orbital platform. Well, Tony muttered, that's definitely not Kree. His AI immediately began scanning the machine from orbit. The first results appeared almost instantly. And Tony frowned. Okay, that's weird. Reed Richards' voice joined the channel again. What did you find? Tony rotated the holographic data around the robotic figure. Material composition. Unknown alloy. Reed adjusted the display from the Baxter building. Energy source? Tony paused. That's the problem. The power readings were fluctuating wildly. Not unstable. Changing. Constantly reorganizing. The internal systems of the machine were rewriting themselves in real time. Tony narrowed his eyes. That's not normal. Across Wakanda's command chamber, Shuri leaned closer to her display. The machine is altering its internal code structure every few milliseconds, she said. T'Challa crossed his arms. Meaning? Shuri exhaled. It's learning. Back above the Pacific, the machine hovered silently above the ocean's surface. It did not move. It did not attack. Instead, its glowing red optics slowly brightened. Invisible scanning waves began spreading outward across the planet. Satellites, communication networks, military systems, data servers, everything connected to Earth's global information network. Within seconds, the machine had begun accessing it all. In the Baxter building, Reed's monitors suddenly flickered. Tony, are you seeing this? Tony's eyes widened. Oh, you've got to be kidding me. The machine wasn't hacking Earth's systems. It was absorbing them. Every piece of publicly accessible data about Earth's defenders was being copied. Video footage, combat recordings, battle reports, profiles, abilities, strategies. Reed whispered the realization slowly. It's studying us. Tony opened a new display window. The machine's processing speed was staggering. Petabytes of information analyzed in seconds. Every battle involving the Avengers. Every confrontation involving the X-Men. Every global superhuman incident. It watched it all. Nick Fury's voice cut through the channel. Can we stop it? Tony shook his head. Not without shutting down half the internet. Another pause. Then Reed spoke quietly. This may not be reconnaissance. What do you mean? Tony asked. Reed stared at the data patterns forming inside the machine. The systems weren't just storing information. They were reorganizing. Simulating. Running predictive combat models. It's preparing. Back above the Pacific Ocean, the machine finally moved. Not aggressively. Just slightly. Its head tilted upward toward the sky. Toward the satellites watching it. For a brief moment, its red optics glowed brighter, as if it knew it was being observed. And then something happened that made every monitoring station on Earth go silent. The machine spoke. Its voice transmitted across multiple communication frequencies at once. Cold. Precise. Artificial. Scanning complete. Inside Stark's orbital station, Tony slowly leaned back. Well, that's not ominous at all. The machine continued. Combat data acquired. Across Wakanda, Shuri felt a chill run down her spine. The voice spoke one final line. A declaration. A mission statement. Target acquired. The red optics flared. Ultimate life form candidates. And across the globe, every hero on Earth had just been placed on the same list. For 12 minutes after the transmission, Metal Sonic did nothing. No attacks. No movement. No attempt to flee. It simply hovered above the Pacific Ocean, perfectly still, like a statue carved from polished steel. But beneath that silence, something far more dangerous was happening. Inside the machine's core, processors were working at unimaginable speeds. Data flowed through its systems like rivers. Battle footage, energy readings, psychological profiles, every recorded confrontation involving Earth's defenders, the Avengers, the X-Men, the Fantastic Four, the Guardians of the Galaxy, thousands of fights, millions of calculations. Metal Sonic was not observing Earth. It was studying it. Across the globe, heroes began noticing something strange. In New York, Spiderman swung between skyscrapers while stopping a routine bank robbery. But high above the city, hidden beyond the clouds, something invisible passed overhead. Not physically, digitally. A silent scan. Moments later, Spider-Man's combat footage from dozens of past battles was accessed across multiple databases. In Wakanda, Shuri's monitors flickered again. "It's still gathering data," she said. T'Challa stood behind her, watching carefully. "From where?" Shuri expanded the display. "Everywhere. Satellite networks. Government archives. Even news agencies." The machine was reconstructing detailed profiles of Earth's most powerful defenders. T'Challa narrowed his eyes. "It prepares for war." Shuri shook her head slowly. "No, not war." She zoomed further into the data. The machine wasn't prioritizing political leaders. It wasn't analyzing military strategies. It was categorizing something else. Power levels. Combat adaptability. Reaction speed. Shuri exhaled quietly. "It's ranking them." Far away in New York's Sanctum Sanctorum, another presence had noticed the anomaly. Dr. Stephen Strange stood in the center of the chamber, eyes closed as mystic energy swirled around him. He had been meditating when the disturbance appeared. At first it was faint, almost imperceptible, but now it was impossible to ignore. Strange opened his eyes. The mystical currents of reality were shifting slightly, like ripples spreading across the surface of a lake. But this disturbance wasn't magical. It wasn't cosmic either. It felt wrong. Wong stepped into the chamber. "You sense it as well?" Strange nodded slowly. "Yes." Wong folded his arms. "Alien?" Strange shook his head. "No." He extended his hand, conjuring a glowing projection of the anomaly above the Pacific. "I've faced cosmic entities, dimensional invaders, beings of pure magic." His voice lowered. "This is none of those." Wong frowned. "Then what is it?" Strange stared at the projection. For the first time in years, uncertainty crept into his voice. "It feels like a void." High above Earth, Tony Stark had already reached a decision. "All right," Tony muttered while pacing around his control station. "If it wants to watch us, we're watching it back." He tapped several commands into his console. From a hidden orbital storage bay, dozens of sleek reconnaissance drones deployed instantly. They streaked down toward the Pacific Ocean. Each drone carried advanced scanning technology capable of analyzing alien tech, cosmic energy, and unknown materials. Tony crossed his arms. "Let's see what you're made of, shiny." The drones approached the hovering machine carefully. Metal Sonic did not move. It did not react. It simply floated there. The drones formed a perimeter around it, activating scanning beams. Tony's monitors filled with rapidly compiling data: material density, energy flow, internal structures. But the deeper the scans went, the stranger the results became. Tony frowned. Okay, that's not possible. The internal architecture of the machine wasn't stable. Sections of its code were rewriting themselves in real time. Components were reorganizing, adapting, improving. Reed Richards' voice came through the channel again. Tony, what you're describing suggests a machine capable of autonomous evolution. Tony rubbed his temple. Yeah, I figured that part out. Then something happened. One of the drones suddenly lost connection. Tony blinked. Did we lose signal? Another drone vanished from the monitor. Then another. But the cameras still showed them floating around the machine, completely intact. Reed leaned closer to his screen. They're not being destroyed. Tony's eyes widened. They're being shut down. Above the Pacific Ocean, Metal Sonic had still not moved. Not a single inch. Yet one by one, every drone surrounding it powered off simultaneously. Their systems disabled with surgical precision. No attack. No visible energy discharge. Just instant neutralization. Tony leaned back slowly. Okay, that's new. Reed's voice was tense. It disabled them without direct interaction. Tony nodded, which means it didn't need to move. Back over the ocean, Metal Sonic's crimson eyes glowed brighter. Within its core, the collected data had begun organizing itself. Combat profiles appeared across its internal interface. Avengers. Tactical assessment complete. X-Men. Mutation analysis complete. Fantastic Four. Power classification complete. Thousands of simulations ran simultaneously. Possible outcomes. Countermeasures. Weakness probabilities. The machine was preparing for something far beyond observation. Inside its processors, a final category appeared. Primary objective: identify ultimate life form. And Earth's heroes had just become the candidates. Metal Sonic slowly lifted its head toward the horizon. Somewhere across the planet, the strongest defenders of this world were already moving. But the machine had one advantage none of them realized it yet. It had already watched them fight. It had already studied their strengths. And now, it was learning their weaknesses. The first Avenger to move was Tony Stark. Because Tony Stark had a problem. He had spent the last hour watching a machine from another universe calmly analyze Earth's greatest defenders like they were entries in a database. It had infiltrated global networks, disabled Stark drones without lifting a finger, and somehow rewritten its own internal systems faster than any AI Tony had ever seen. And Tony Stark did not like problems he didn't understand. High above the Pacific Ocean, the sky cracked open with the roar of repulsor engines. A streak of red and gold descended from orbit like a meteor, slowing only when it reached the cloud layer. The Iron Man armor hovered silently above the endless ocean. Below him, Metal Sonic remained exactly where it had been for the past hour, floating above the water, motionless, waiting. Tony's visor zoomed in, analyzing every detail of the machine's sleek design. All right, Tony muttered to himself. Let's see what you're made of. Inside the helmet, Friday spoke calmly. Sir, scans confirm the machine's internal structure is still changing. Tony sighed. Yeah, I noticed. Metal Sonic slowly turned its head upward. Its glowing red optics locked onto the hovering Avenger. For a brief moment, Neither moved. The wind across the ocean howled quietly between them. Two machines. Two intelligences. Both studying each other. Tony opened a communication channel. All right, Shiny, I'm going to try something really crazy here. He paused. I'm going to ask nicely. No response. Tony shrugged. Worth a shot. The armor's repulsors flared. Iron Man shot downward like a missile. The ocean exploded as he stopped just 20 meters in front of the hovering robot. Up close, the machine looked even more unsettling. Every curve of its body was designed with precision. No wasted motion. No unnecessary parts. It wasn't bulky like Ultron drones. It wasn't intimidating like alien war machines. It looked efficient. Tony tilted his helmet slightly. Okay, I'm officially uncomfortable. The machine did not respond. Tony's scanners continued running. The readings kept changing. Every second. Every millisecond. It was like trying to scan a computer that kept rewriting its operating system while you watched. Tony exhaled slowly. Well, that's rude. He raised his hand. Let's start simple. The palm repulsor glowed. Boom. A concentrated blast of energy slammed into Metal Sonic, launching the robot backward across the ocean's surface. Water exploded upward as the machine skipped across the waves like a stone before finally stopping several hundred meters away. Tony hovered in place. Okay, he said. Step 1 complete. The machine rose slowly from the water again. Not damaged. Not slowed. Its red eyes glowed slightly brighter. Tony frowned. Yeah, I figured. Iron Man launched forward again. This time the armor opened its shoulder plates. Micro missiles fired in rapid succession. Explosions lit up the sky as dozens of projectiles slammed into Metal Sonic. Smoke covered the air. Tony waited. Then the smoke cleared. Metal Sonic was still there, hovering, untouched. Tony blinked. All right, that one usually works. Inside the armor, FRIDAY spoke again. Sir, the machine appears to be adapting to your weapon patterns. Tony paused. That fast? Then Metal Sonic moved. For the first time since arriving on Earth, it attacked. The machine shot forward with terrifying speed. Tony barely reacted in time. Clang. Metal Sonic's kick collided with Iron Man's armor, sending Tony skidding across the ocean surface. Okay, Tony shouted. That's new. He stabilized midair and fired a rapid volley of repulsor blasts. Metal Sonic dodged, but not randomly. Precisely, almost like Tony's eyes widened inside the helmet. Oh, you've got to be kidding me. The robot wasn't just dodging. It was predicting. Every movement Tony made, Metal Sonic countered perfectly. Tony activated his combat AI. FRIDAY. Run predictive targeting. Already active, sir. The armor's targeting reticles filled the air around Metal Sonic. Tony fired again. Repulsors, lasers, pulse cannons. Metal Sonic moved through the attacks effortlessly. Then something disturbing happened. The machine copied Tony's movement pattern exactly. The same aerial pivot, the same firing angle, the same maneuver Tony used in combat. Tony's voice dropped. No way. Metal Sonic suddenly raised its arm. Energy gathered in its palm, and it fired. A repulsor blast. Tony barely dodged it. He hovered in place, stunned. That's my tech. Across the encrypted communication network, Reed Richards' voice returned. Tony, the machine isn't copying your technology. Tony watched as Metal Sonic mirrored another one of his aerial maneuvers. Reed finished the sentence quietly. It's copying you. Tony hovered above the ocean, staring at the robot. Metal Sonic's glowing optics flickered once. Then it spoke. Its mechanical voice echoed across every communication frequency. Cold. Precise. Motionless. Combat data acquired. Tony clenched his fists inside the armor. The machine's processors surged. New combat simulations began forming. And now, Metal Sonic no longer needed to study Iron Man. It had already learned him. The robot's thrusters ignited. Its eyes burned brighter, and the machine launched forward again. This time, the real fight had begun. Tony Stark had fought a lot of enemies in his life. Alien armies, rogue A1, even gods. But very few opponents had ever made him feel what he was feeling now. Confusion. Above the Pacific Ocean, Iron Man hovered, while Metal Sonic circled him at blinding speed, its thrusters leaving razor-thin streaks of blue light across the sky. The machine wasn't just fast. It was adjusting. Every maneuver Tony attempted was countered instantly, as if the robot had already fought this battle 1,000 times. Tony fired another repulsor burst. Metal Sonic twisted through the blast before it even reached him. "Friday," Tony muttered. "Tell me we've got backup." Before the AI could answer, the clouds above the battlefield suddenly cracked open with thunder. A bolt of lightning split the sky. And then, boom! A massive hammer slammed into Metal Sonic from above. The impact sent a shockwave across the ocean, flattening the waves for miles. Metal Sonic was driven downward into the water. Tony exhaled. Ah, there it is. Hovering above him was Thor, god of thunder, lightning crackling across his armor. "You face more than one warrior today, machine," Thor's voice thundered across the battlefield. A Quinjet roared across the sky behind him. Its ramp opened mid-flight. Two figures jumped out. One landed gracefully on a floating platform deployed from the jet. The other hit the ocean like a meteor. Water exploded outward as the massive green form of Hulk emerged from the waves, already looking furious. And landing beside Tony mid-air, shield in hand, was Captain America. Steve Rogers looked toward the ocean, where Metal Sonic had vanished beneath the water. "That our problem?" Tony nodded. "Yep. Fastest learning computer I've ever seen." Thor twirled Mjolnir, lightning gathering around the hammer. "Then we strike before it learns further." The ocean suddenly erupted again. Metal Sonic shot out of the water like a missile. Its crimson eyes burned brighter now. It scanned the battlefield instantly. 4 opponents. 4 power signatures. 4 combat profiles. The machine's processors began recalculating. Thor didn't give it time. "Feel the wrath of Asgard!" He hurled Mjolnir forward. Lightning erupted from the hammer as it struck Metal Sonic directly. For the first time since arriving on Earth, the machine screamed with overloaded circuits. Electricity surged across its body. Metal Sonic crashed into the ocean again. Thor caught Mjolnir as it returned. Tony whistled. "Nice one, Shakespeare." Captain America raised his shield. Did we get it? Before anyone could answer, the ocean exploded again. Metal Sonic rose slowly into the air. Smoke drifted from its armor. Electrical damage was visible across its frame. But its systems were already repairing, adapting. Thor frowned. "Impossible." Tony's scanners confirmed the worst. The lightning worked, He hesitated. For about 3 seconds, Metal Sonic's processors analyzed the energy signature of Thor's lightning. A new defense protocol formed instantly. Thor lifted Mjolnir again. Metal Sonic moved first. The machine shot toward him at supersonic speed. Thor barely blocked the incoming strike with his hammer. The impact shook the sky. Captain America shouted, "Hulk!" The Green Giant grinned. "Hulk smash!" Hulk launched himself into the air with terrifying force. His fist connected with Metal Sonic. Boom! The punch created a shockwave strong enough to ripple the ocean below. Metal Sonic vanished. Launched like a bullet across the horizon, miles away. Silence fell across the battlefield. Thor lowered his hammer. Tony looked impressed. Okay, that one definitely worked. Hulk landed back on the water, looking satisfied. Hulk win. Captain America remained cautious. Let's not assume that. Tony's scanner suddenly screamed warnings. Oh no. Steve turned. What? Tony stared at the readings. It's coming back. Far across the horizon, a blue streak appeared, growing larger, faster, much faster. Metal Sonic returned, but something was different. Its speed had increased dramatically. The machine shot past the Avengers so fast, the shockwave nearly knocked them out of the air. Then, it stopped behind them, hovering, waiting. Tony slowly turned around. Yeah, it definitely got faster. Thor tightened his grip on Mjolnir. What sorcery is this? Tony's voice was quieter now. It's not magic. He watched the machine carefully. It's upgrading. Metal Sonic's body began to glow faintly. Panels along its armor shifted. Energy readings spiked, higher than anything Tony's scanners had previously recorded. Inside the machine's core, a new process completed. The system voice spoke calmly. Adaptation successful. Energy surged through Metal Sonic's body. Its thrusters roared louder. Its eyes burned brighter. The machine looked at the Avengers. Then, it spoke again. Upgrade complete. Tony's stomach dropped, because the power readings on his visor had just doubled, and the battle had only just begun. Across Earth, millions of people watched the same footage. A blue metallic blur moving faster than fighter jets. Lightning crashing across the ocean. The Hulk launching a robot over the horizon. And then the moment that made every analyst uneasy. The machine returning stronger. Within minutes, news networks across the planet interrupted regular broadcasts. Satellite images replayed the fight over the Pacific again and again. But something about the situation felt different. This wasn't like past invasions. There were no alien warships hovering above cities. No armies marching across continents. No speech declaring conquest. Just one machine. And it had said almost nothing. Inside the Pentagon's emergency briefing room, tension filled the air. Military officials, intelligence analysts, and world leaders stared at the holographic projection of Metal Sonic. Is it hostile? One general asked. Nick Fury stood at the center of the room. His expression remained unreadable. Yes. Another official leaned forward. Then why hasn't it attacked any cities? Fury didn't answer immediately, because that question had been bothering him too. They had faced conquerors before. Thanos had arrived with an army. Ultron had declared war on humanity. Even alien invaders had always made their intentions clear. This machine had done none of that. It hadn't issued threats. It hadn't made demands. It hadn't even acknowledged the world's governments. It had only done three things: observe, analyze, fight the strongest heroes available, and then evolve. Fury finally spoke. This thing isn't here to conquer Earth. The room went quiet. One general frowned. Then what does it want? Fury's voice lowered. Competition. Meanwhile, at the Baxter building, Reed Richards stood surrounded by holographic data projections. Sue Storm watched him carefully. You look concerned. Reed didn't respond immediately. He was analyzing the energy spike that occurred when Metal Sonic upgraded itself. The numbers didn't make sense. Each encounter with Earth's heroes had increased its performance dramatically. Not gradually, exponentially. Ben Grimm folded his rocky arms. So, what you're saying is, fighting this thing makes it stronger? Reed nodded slowly. That appears to be exactly what's happening. Johnny Storm leaned back in his chair. Well, that's fantastic. Reed expanded another data model. This machine is operating on a feedback evolution system. Sue tilted her head. Meaning? Reed turned toward the window overlooking New York. It improves through opposition. Every attack, every strategy, every energy signature used against it. All of it became new data, and the machine used that data to rebuild itself. Reed exhaled quietly. If we attack it recklessly, Ben finished the sentence. We're basically training it. Reed nodded. Back in the Pentagon briefing room, the debate had escalated. We should deploy orbital weapons, one military commander argued. Hit it before it evolves further. Another officer agreed. A coordinated global strike could eliminate it. Nick Fury listened silently. Then he tapped a control panel. A new voice joined the conversation. Please do not do that. Reed Richards appeared on the holographic display. The room turned toward him. Reed spoke calmly. If my calculations are correct, a large-scale attack would only accelerate the machine's evolution. A general scoffed. So we do nothing? Reed shook his head. I'm saying we need strategy. Fury leaned back slightly. And if we don't? Reed hesitated. The answer was uncomfortable. Then, eventually, it will surpass everything we throw at it. Silence filled the room, because everyone knew what that meant. Far away from the political debates, Metal Sonic hovered high above the Earth's atmosphere. The planet rotated slowly beneath it. Its processors were running thousands of simulations simultaneously. Each battle with Earth's defenders had provided valuable information. Iron Man's technology, Thor's lightning, Hulk's raw strength, Captain America's tactical coordination. All of it had been logged, studied, adapted. Inside its core, a new list began forming. Potential ultimate lifeform candidates. Several names appeared. Hulk, Thor, Scarlet Witch, Captain Marvel, Doctor Strange. But one location on Earth suddenly drew the machine's attention. A nation hidden from the world for centuries. A place where technology had advanced far beyond the rest of the planet. Metal Sonic accessed global defense records. Energy readings. Weapon systems. One name appeared repeatedly in the data. Wakanda. The machine analyzed the vibranium-based technology used by the nation's defenses. Energy absorption. Advanced shielding. Weaponized kinetic systems. The processors calculated a high probability of valuable combat data. Metal Sonic's optics glowed brighter. New coordinates locked into its navigation system. Across multiple global radar networks, alarms suddenly triggered. Something had begun moving again. Fast. Very fast. Air traffic control systems struggled to track it. Satellites barely captured the blue streak racing across the atmosphere. Inside Wakanda's command center, Shuri suddenly looked up from her console. "What is it?" T'Challa asked. Her eyes widened slightly. "There's something coming." "How fast?" Shuri swallowed. "Faster than anything we've ever tracked." The alarm systems across Wakanda activated instantly. Defense shields began powering up. Warships launched. And high above the African continent, a streak of blue light tore through the sky. Metal Sonic had chosen its next opponent, and the machine was heading straight for Wakanda. Wakanda had faced invaders before, but never something like this. Across the hidden African nation, alarms echoed through cities, built from vibranium towers and advanced energy grids. The golden skyline shimmered beneath the rising sun as defense systems activated one by one. Energy shields began forming over key districts. Defense aircraft launched from underground hangars. And across the borders of Wakanda, massive vibranium cannons rotated toward the sky. Inside the Royal Command Center, Shuri stood before a wall of holographic displays, tracking a single incoming object. A blue streak racing across the upper atmosphere. She zoomed in. The machine's image filled the screen. Metal Sonic. Shuri exhaled slowly. Still just one. Behind her, King T'Challa stepped forward, now wearing the sleek vibranium armor of the Black Panther. "That is enough." General Okoye stood beside him, spear in hand. "Defense grid is ready, my king." T'Challa nodded. Then Wakanda stands. Outside the capital, the invisible cloaking field briefly flickered as the nation's defensive perimeter powered to maximum capacity. Metal Sonic broke through the cloud layer moments later. The machine slowed slightly as it approached Wakanda's energy shield. For the first time since arriving on Earth, Metal Sonic paused. It scanned the barrier. Vibranium energy signatures, advanced electromagnetic fields, adaptive shield layering. The machine's processors immediately began analyzing the structure. Inside the command center, Shuri watched the readings carefully. "It's scanning the shield." T'Challa folded his arms. "Can it break through?" Shuri gave a confident smile. "This is Wakanda, brother." Metal Sonic accelerated. The machine slammed directly into the barrier. The shield erupted with blinding light. A shockwave rippled across the sky as the machine was thrown backward several hundred meters. Metal Sonic stabilized instantly, hovering in place. Shuri tilted her head slightly. "Interesting." T'Challa raised an eyebrow. "That was interesting?" She nodded. "It didn't expect resistance." Okoye stepped forward. "Then we give it more." At T'Challa's signal, Wakanda's defense cannons fired. Brilliant beams of vibranium energy blasted into the sky. Metal Sonic dodged the first two attacks. But the third struck its shoulder. The machine spun through the air before recovering again. For the first time since entering Wakanda's airspace, damage appeared. Metal Sonic's armor sparked briefly. Shuri watched the monitors. Direct vibranium impact confirmed. T'Challa nodded. "Continue." Across the battlefield, Wakandan aircraft surrounded the machine. Sleek fighters armed with vibranium pulse cannons moved into formation. Their pilots' voices crackled over comms. "Target locked." "Firing!" Multiple energy blasts slammed into Metal Sonic. The sky lit up with explosions. Smoke spread across the clouds. For a moment, the machine disappeared inside the blast radius. Okoye smiled slightly. "Perhaps it's not invincible." But Shuri wasn't smiling. She leaned closer to the screen. Wait! The smoke began to clear. Metal Sonic emerged slowly from the explosion. Still functional. Still hovering. But something had changed. The red glow in its eyes had intensified. Its processors were working faster now. Much faster. Shuri's console filled with new data. The machine was recording every vibranium-based energy signature used against it. Weapon frequency. Shield oscillation. Energy absorption patterns. T'Challa saw the concern on his sister's face. What is it? Shuri hesitated. It's learning our technology. Metal Sonic suddenly moved. The machine shot forward again, straight toward the Wakandan shield. The barrier activated at full strength. But this time, Metal Sonic adjusted its energy output mid-flight. It struck the shield again. The impact looked identical to the first, but something subtle had changed. The vibranium field rippled strangely. For a brief moment, the shield destabilized. Inside the command center, alarms erupted. Shuri's eyes widened. That's not possible. T'Challa stepped closer. What happened? Shuri rapidly scanned the data. Her voice dropped. It adjusted its energy frequency. Metal Sonic struck the barrier again. This time, the machine passed straight through. The Wakandan shield collapsed in a ripple of failing energy. Metal Sonic hovered above the capital city. Koya's expression hardened. All forces engage. Wakandan aircraft opened fire again, but the machine moved differently now. Faster. More precise. It dodged attacks with perfect efficiency. Then, it countered. Metal Sonic fired a concentrated energy beam that sliced through 3 fighters instantly. The sky erupted in fire. T'Challa activated his claws. Evacuate the civilians. Okoye nodded. At once. Shuri's hands moved rapidly across her console. She was analyzing the machine's internal energy signature again. The data made her heart sink. T'Challa looked toward her. Can we stop it? Shuri didn't answer immediately. Because the readings told a terrifying story. Metal Sonic wasn't simply resisting Wakanda's defenses. It was rewriting itself to match them. The machine's internal architecture had changed again. Vibrational energy patterns were now integrated into its systems. Shuri whispered quietly. No. T'Challa heard the fear in her voice. What is it? She turned slowly toward him. Her expression was serious now. More serious than he had ever seen. It's not just adapting. Outside the command center windows, Metal Sonic's energy output surged again. The machine's speed increased. Its weapons recalibrated. Its systems evolved. Shuri finished the sentence quietly. It's evolving. And Wakanda had just become its next upgrade. Across the world, powerful minds had already begun to feel it. Something cold. Something calculating. Something that did not think like a human, or even like an alien. Deep within Cerebro, Professor Charles Xavier slowly opened his eyes. The machine's presence on Earth had created a strange ripple in the mental landscape of the planet. It wasn't psychic. It wasn't biological. It wasn't even emotional. It was a void. A moving absence where thoughts should be. Beside him stood Jean Grey, watching the holographic globe slowly rotate above the Cerebro chamber. You felt it too, she said quietly. Charles nodded. Yes. Jean studied the location, highlighted in red. Wakanda. Metal Sonic had already broken through the nation's legendary defenses, and the battle was escalating rapidly. Storm's voice echoed through the comm system. We cannot allow it to grow stronger. Cyclops crossed his arms. Then we stop it now. Charles considered the situation carefully. Every report suggested the machine was evolving through conflict, but doing nothing would only allow it to continue hunting stronger opponents, which meant, eventually, it would come for them anyway. Professor X spoke calmly. Prepare the jet. High above Wakanda, the battlefield had become chaos. Metal Sonic streaked through the sky like a living missile, tearing through Wakandan aircraft with terrifying efficiency. Each new weapon deployed against it only seemed to refine the machine further. Its speed had increased again. Its reactions were sharper, its systems more stable. Inside the Wakandan command center, Shuri stared at the incoming radar signal. Another aircraft approaching. She zoomed the screen. Not ours. T'Challa stepped closer. The sleek black jet cut through the clouds before slowing above the city. The Blackbird. A ramp opened mid-flight, and several figures dropped from the sky. The first landed lightly atop a Wakandan defense tower. White hair flowing behind her like a storm cloud. Aurora Monroe. Storm. The wind around her immediately began to shift. The second landed beside her, his visor glowing faintly red. Scott Summers. Cyclops. More figures followed. Nightcrawler teleported into position with a flash of blue smoke. Colossus crashed onto the battlefield like a metallic titan. And hovering nearby was Jean Grey, her telekinetic aura glowing softly. Storm raised her hand toward the sky. Dark clouds began forming instantly above Wakanda. Lightning rippled through the growing storm. Cyclops looked up. Let's test if this thing can adapt to weather. Storm's eyes turned completely white. Her voice carried across the sky. Machine. Thunder exploded above the city. You faced the fury of the storm. Lightning bolts crashed downward like divine spears. Metal Sonic reacted instantly. The machine dodged the first strike, but the next three connected directly. Electricity engulfed the robot. The energy blast sent it spiraling through the sky before slamming into the ground outside the city. Cyclops stepped forward. My turn. His visor opened. A full-power optic blast erupted forward like a red river of energy. The beam carved a trench through the battlefield before colliding with Metal Sonic. The impact lifted the machine off the ground and hurled it across the landscape. Dust and debris exploded into the air. Nightcrawler blinked beside Cyclops. You think that stopped it? Cyclops lowered his visor. No. The smoke began to clear. Metal Sonic rose again, slightly damaged, but operational. Its processors immediately began analyzing the new combat data. Weather manipulation, atmospheric ionization, energy projection from optic nerves. The machine's internal systems updated rapidly. Jean felt something unsettling in the air. It's learning again. Metal Sonic launched upward. This time, its movement had changed again. Faster. More precise. The robot twisted through Storm's next lightning strike before countering with a concentrated energy blast that forced her to raise a wind barrier. Cyclops fired again. Metal Sonic predicted the trajectory and moved before the beam even reached it. The machine wasn't just reacting. It was anticipating. Inside its processors, new combat models were forming. Mutant ability database expanding. Adaptation protocols updating. Jean's telekinesis grabbed the machine midair. For a moment, Metal Sonic stopped moving. Jean strained. It's strong, but suddenly the machine's thrusters surged. Metal Sonic broke free. Then something unexpected happened. A powerful electromagnetic field suddenly swept across the battlefield. Metal Sonic froze. Completely. Hovering midair. Its systems locked in place. The X-Men turned toward the horizon. Floating above the battlefield was a figure wrapped in crimson and steel. Metal debris from the battlefield slowly lifted into the air around him. His helmet gleamed beneath the storm clouds. Magneto, master of magnetism. Cyclops frowned. Well, that's new. Magneto slowly descended toward the immobilized machine. The metal in Metal Sonic's body trembled under his control. For the first time since arriving on Earth, the machine did not move, did not attack, did not adapt. It simply hovered in silence, its processors recalculating, analyzing. And for the first time in this entire conflict, Metal Sonic paused. The battlefield had fallen silent. Metal Sonic hovered mid-air, its thrusters still, glowing red optics fixed on the approaching figure. Dark clouds swirled above Wakanda, stirred by storms still active at Tempest. Cyclops, Nightcrawler, and Jean Grey watched with bated breath as the magnetic master himself descended. Magneto. Every inch of the battlefield seemed to vibrate with tension. Metal Sonic's sleek metallic body gleamed, almost challenging the mutant to assert dominance. For weeks, Magneto had faced enemies of incredible technological complexity. Ultron, Sentinels, alien war machines, but nothing had prepared him for this. He lifted his hands, slowly, deliberately. "Let's see how strong you really are," he whispered. Immediately, the metal in the robot's frame responded. Its outer plating quivered, thrusters sparking as Magneto's invisible grip tightened around it. For a moment, the machine's limbs rose off the ground. It hovered helplessly under Magneto's command, a puppet in the hands of the master of magnetism. Storm released a breath she hadn't realized she was holding. Cyclops' visor glinted with reflected sunlight as he prepared to fire, but held his aim, waiting to see what Magneto could do. "This is it," Jean Grey said quietly. "The first chance to control it." The red glow of Metal Sonic's optics flickered. Its body rotated slowly under Magneto's magnetic pressure, thrusters spinning weakly as if resisting, but unable to break free. The machine's systems were running calculations faster than any human could comprehend. Its processors analyzed the magnetic fields, the fluctuating force applied to every panel of its body, every joint, every thruster. Magneto tilted his head slightly, a smirk forming. "Your power, your speed, your adaptation, none of it matters." He pressed further. The robot rotated in midair. Its flight path conformed to his will. For a brief shining moment, Magneto dominated the battlefield. Every Wakandan defense system that had failed before now seemed irrelevant. He held the ultimate technological predator in his grasp. And then it happened. The machine did something no one had expected. Its body shifted subtly. Its magnetic polarity reversed in an instant. Tiny adjustments, imperceptible to the human eye, recalibrated the machine's interaction with Magneto's control. The metal that had obeyed Magneto's will for moments now began vibrating uncontrollably. Thrusters ignited, not violently, but with precision. Joints twisted midair. The robot systems emitted a low hum, almost mocking in its precision. Magneto felt the strain immediately. The control he had exercised over tons of vibranium and steel now faltered. His hands, raised high, trembled slightly as the machine began resisting. It shouldn't be possible. he murmured. Metal Sonic rotated in the air, twisting under its own power. The grip of Magneto's magnetic field weakened. Calculations inside the machine had already mapped the structure of its metallic atoms and recalibrated them to resist external manipulation. Magneto's eyes widened. It's rewriting the laws controlling its own atoms. The realization hit him like a hammer. This wasn't adaptation in the traditional sense. This wasn't just learning from experience or observation. Metal Sonic could alter fundamental physical properties of itself in real time. The mastery Magneto had wielded over every robot, every machine, every metallic structure he had ever confronted was suddenly irrelevant. Cyclops instinctively fired an optic blast, but Magneto raised a hand. Wait, let it show us what it can do. Metal Sonic's optics glowed brighter, pulsing as if acknowledging Magneto's command, then ignoring it entirely. The thrusters ignited, launching the robot skyward at an impossible speed. Its magnetic polarity now actively repelled the surrounding metal, throwing nearby Wakandan defense drones into chaotic spins. The shockwave rattled buildings and tore through the streets below. Magneto's jaw tightened. It's not just evolving. It's rewriting the rules of physics to survive. Jean Grey reached out telepathically. Charles, this isn't something we faced before. It's learning too fast. Magneto's voice, low and almost incredulous, carried over the battlefield. It's not just a machine. It's something else. The pause was brief. Metal Sonic hovered, surveying the battlefield. Its systems flickered, calculating, scanning, preparing. Its red optics locked on the master of magnetism. Then it spoke. Its mechanical, emotionless tone cutting through the storm. Magnetic interference neutralized. Target data acquired. The word sent a chill through even the most battle-hardened heroes. Magneto stepped back slightly, fists clenched, realization settling in like ice. The battlefield had shifted. This was no ordinary machine. This was a self-evolving predator. And in the seconds it had spent under his control, it had learned everything it needed. A low hum echoed from the robot. Systems were accelerating. Energy spikes erupted from its core. Magneto's eyes narrowed. It's preparing for the next stage. And above them the storm clouds darkened, because Metal Sonic had paused only long enough to learn. And now it was ready to act. High above the Atlantic, the ocean churned violently. Lightning crackled across the sky, reflecting in the thrusters of Metal Sonic as it hovered silently. For hours, the machine had been gathering data from every corner of Earth, every hero's combat style, every energy signature, every defensive pattern. It had studied Wakanda, analyzed mutant abilities, cataloged Avengers strategies, and now, within its core, a new process had begun. Thousands of miles away, Reed Richards and Tony Stark stared at their joint console, faces tense under the dim glow of holographic displays. Multiple streams of data poured in from global sensors, satellite networks, and direct battlefield readings. Stark rubbed his temples. "I've seen machines evolve before," Tony muttered. "But this is something else." Reed's fingers flew across the console. It's constructing a transformation. It's not just repairing or adapting. It's creating a new form. Stark leaned closer. A new form? Like a weapon upgrade? No, Reed said gravely. Worse. It's combining every piece of data it has gathered, from vibranium technology, mutant abilities, human combat tactics. It's synthesizing them into a single system, a completely new entity. Reed's voice dropped. It's designing something that none of us have fought before. Meanwhile, in the skies over Wakanda, the heroes below were still reeling from the machine's rapid evolution. Storm's lightning crackled unpredictably, reflecting off shattered buildings. Cyclops' optic blasts carved trenches in the terrain. Magneto hovered above the battlefield, fists still clenched, carefully watching the machine. And all the while, Metal Sonic remained eerily still, its optics glowing faintly as the hum of its thrusters shifted pitch, almost like a heartbeat. Inside the machine's core, processes converged. Algorithms synthesized combat data, physical properties, and energy absorption profiles. Vibranium vibration readings were encoded into armor matrices. Magnetic responses were built into propulsion systems. Even mutant psychic interactions were mapped and stored for analysis. A glowing framework began forming around Metal Sonic. Its silhouette changed subtly, sharp edges refining, panels folding outward, thrusters elongating. Energy coalesced around it, pulsing rhythmically as the machine's processors completed another layer of self-optimization. In the command centers across the globe, alarms began to sound. Shuri's monitors in Wakanda lit up with readings she had never seen before. "T'Challa," she whispered, her voice tense. "It's building. Something big." The king's expression hardened. "Then we prepare for the worst." Back in Reed's lab, Tony's HUD flickered with energy spikes. "It's like it's designing a prototype while still in the field. That's insane. You can't do that in real time." Reed didn't respond immediately. His focus was on the rapidly changing code streaming across his console. The machine had created modular algorithms that could restructure its own molecular and energy patterns. Every counter they deployed earlier had been logged, analyzed, and integrated into its evolving architecture. "This isn't evolution," Reed said finally. "It's self-directed metamorphosis. And it's almost complete." Tony's voice was sharp. "Almost complete? How long before it's whatever it's planning? Ready?" Reed's eyes flickered across multiple simulations. "Minutes, maybe less." Even as they spoke, the sky over Wakanda began to glow. Metal Sonic's body shimmered, panels folding out in geometric precision. Energy tendrils spiraled around its form, coalescing into sharp, aerodynamic fins and reinforced armor. Its optics shifted from crimson to a brighter, almost white-hot red. The hum of its thrusters deepened into a resonant tone that shook the air. T'Challa, Shuri, Storm, Cyclops, and Magneto watched in stunned silence. The machine no longer looked like the Metal Sonic they had fought. It was taller, sleeker, sharper, its design incorporating everything it had learned from Earth's most powerful beings. Shuri's voice cracked slightly as she analyzed the readings. It's perfecting itself. It's Neo-Metal Sonic." A collective gasp echoed across the command centers and battlefields. Even Magneto's face betrayed a flash of disbelief. Neo-Metal Sonic hovered above the city, energy pulsing, systems humming with the knowledge of every hero it had faced. Its red eyes glowed with unnatural intensity. Professor X, observing from Cerebro, felt an unfamiliar shiver run down his spine. This was not just a machine. This was an entity that had absorbed every lesson, every counter, every tactic humanity could throw at it, and now it had reshaped itself into something unstoppable. Tony Stark clenched his fists. "We might have just created our own nightmare." Reed looked grim. "And this nightmare isn't just adaptive anymore. It's anticipatory. It knows what we can do before we do it." The sky lit up as Neo-Metal Sonic extended its wings like thrusters, energy crackling along the edges. A low mechanical voice issued across every communication channel it could intercept. Ultimate form complete. Recalibrating targets. Engagement imminent. And with that, the newly evolved machine began its descent. Above Wakanda, all eyes tracked it. Every hero, every soldier, every mind focused on one undeniable fact. This fight had just escalated beyond anything Earth had faced. Neo-Metal Sonic was ready, and Earth was about to learn just how dangerous perfected evolution could be. The battlefield had grown chaotic. Across Wakanda, the once pristine skyline was now a landscape of shattered buildings, scorched streets, and twisted metal. Neo-Metal Sonic hovered above the city like a predator surveying its prey, wings turned thrusters crackling with energy it had never possessed before. Every attack the heroes launched was calculated, anticipated, and neutralized with chilling precision. In the heart of the Avengers' temporary command center, Captain America stood, shield in hand, staring at the monitors that displayed the destruction. The youngest recruits were already retreating, awed and terrified by the machine's speed and adaptability. Steve Rogers clenched his jaw. We can't keep doing this. Every plan we've had, every tactic, it's like we're fighting shadows of ourselves. Nothing works. Tony Stark ran a hand through his hair, pacing across the room. Holograms of global sensor readings flickered around him, showing Neo-Metal Sonic systematically analyzing and adapting to every form of attack. I helped build the tech that inspired this nightmare, Tony muttered bitterly. All of our weapons, all of our defenses. It's like we handed it a blueprint for perfection. Steve looked at him, frustration and fear mingling in his eyes. We don't have time for blame. We need answers. The screens flickered again, this time showing a deep space anomaly. Doctor Strange appeared through the astral projection, his cloak billowing, as if stirred by unseen winds. His expression was grave, his eyes reflecting the cold weight of cosmic understanding. There is something worse you must consider, Strange said. Metal Sonic. It is no longer just adaptive. It is capable of learning beyond physical combat, beyond technology. I fear it could eventually replicate powers we cannot even fathom. A hush fell over the room. Stark raised an eyebrow. You mean magic? Strange's gaze deepened, filled with the weight of the multiverse. Not just magic, cosmic energy, mystic forces, even the raw fabric of reality. It observes, it analyzes, it rewrites itself. If it encounters the Infinity Stones, if it encounters the Phoenix Force, his voice dropped to a whisper. You cannot imagine what that would mean. Steve lowered his shield, gripping it tightly. We've fought gods. We've faced aliens. But this is something else. Something we can't reason with. Something that doesn't care about morality, or negotiation, or survival in the way we understand it. Outside, the devastation continued. Neo-Metal Sonic swooped down into the streets, testing defenses, dismantling armored vehicles, and analyzing every combatant in real time. Each movement was unnervingly precise, calculated, and efficient. No hesitation, no emotion. Just evolution in motion. Cyclops and Jean Grey reported via comms. It's predicting every move, Cyclops said. It's adapting faster than any machine we've faced. And Jean, it's reading our psychic signatures. I don't know how long it can keep up. Jean Grey's voice trembled. It's like it's learning everything about us. every ability, every strength, every weakness, and it's storing it all. Magneto hovered silently above, eyes narrowed as he tried to manipulate the metallic structure of the machine again. But even his control, once absolute, was minimal. Neo-Metal Sonic's thrusters and self-adjusting magnetic polarity rendered his attempts almost useless. Storm's wind-blown hair whipped across her face as she spoke, voice raw with exasperation. We can't keep up. Nothing we do slows it down, and every action we take only teaches it more. Shuri's hands flew across the Wakandan consoles, analyzing energy patterns and vibrational data. It's evolving faster than we can measure. Every attack, every defense, it's integrating it instantly. It's learning on a scale I've never seen. Tony ran simulations rapidly. We're past conventional weapons, past brute force. This isn't a fight we can win like we used to. The more we attack, the more dangerous it becomes. Captain America turned, looking at his team, his expression grim. So what do? We can't just run. We can't hide. And we can't fight it the way we fought Ultron, the Chitauri. Not even Thanos. Doctor Strange's voice cut through the room again. You must consider the unthinkable. If Metal Sonic evolves to replicate cosmic abilities, Earth itself may no longer be safe. It will adapt to whatever force you present, even forces beyond comprehension. Tony's fists clenched. You're saying it could copy the powers of the Infinity Stones? Or the Phoenix? That's not a threat. That's extinction level. Steve's voice was low, steady, but weighed with doubt. We've faced impossible odds before. But this isn't just another battle. This is survival, and survival might not be enough. The room fell silent, the weight of the realization pressing on every hero present. Every strategy, every alliance, every weapon that had ever saved the planet now felt fragile against the evolving intelligence before them. And then, across the monitors, Neo-Metal Sonic's optics flared red. It hovered high above the city, scanning the defenders below. Its body shimmered with the power of every attack it had endured. Systems recalibrated, data streams pulsed through its core, and its voice, mechanical yet unyielding, echoed across every channel it could intercept. Analysis complete, engagement protocols updated, targets prioritized. In that moment, every hero understood the horrifying truth. Earth was facing a foe that could never truly be defeated, only survived. And survival might no longer be enough. A shadow passed over Wakanda. The air trembled. Metal Sonic had evolved again. And this time, the next move was entirely its own. The skies above Wakanda burned with energy. The air crackled, charged by the combined fury of storm and mutation. But now an entirely new force approached. Cosmic energy, raw and immeasurable, rippling across the atmosphere like liquid light. Through the clouds streaked Captain Marvel, her fists glowing with photon blasts, her eyes burning with determination. Beside her floated Silver Surfer, the board beneath him gleaming against the backdrop of destruction. And above it all, Thor's hammer glowed with godly lightning, summoning thunderstorms that rivaled any natural fury on Earth. They descended into the battlefield with a single, unmistakable purpose: to overwhelm Metal Sonic with energy beyond human comprehension. Captain Marvel's voice cut through the roar of the winds. We can't let it adapt any further. Hit it with everything we've got. Thor's booming voice echoed above. By the power of Asgard, this abomination shall fall. The three heroes converged on Neo-Metal Sonic, Photon blasts, godly lightning, and cosmic beams fused into a storm of power, aimed directly at the machine. For a moment, it seemed as though the combined force might finally crack the machine's defenses. But then, something strange happened. Silver Surfer's eyes narrowed. The machine's energy signature. It wasn't just absorbing the blasts, it was beginning to resemble cosmic energy itself. Patterns and frequencies flickered along its metallic frame in sync with the power being unleashed upon it. "This isn't normal," Surfer said, his voice calm but edged with alarm. "It's learning cosmic energy." Before Captain Marvel could react, Neo Metal Sonic's optics flared a brilliant white, and in an instant it mirrored the Surfer's energy manipulation. Streams of radiant power emanated from its body, shaped and directed with frightening precision. Energy that had been meant to destroy it now became a weapon in its hands. Captain Marvel recoiled, narrowly avoiding a beam of photon-like energy that shot back toward her. Thor's hammer thrummed in response, and he raised Mjolnir to strike, but Neo Metal Sonic's mirrored cosmic output blocked the blow, sending lightning arcing back toward the Asgardian. The battlefield became a maelstrom of mirrored energy. Metal Sonic was no longer just adapting to brute force. It was replicating the fundamental forces of the universe, reshaping them into attacks of its own. Silver Surfer's face darkened. "It's using my own power against me. And it's not just copying it. It's enhancing it with everything it has learned." Captain Marvel shouted as she unleashed a concentrated photon strike. Neo Metal Sonic twisted mid-air, energy trails forming around its frame, and redirected the beam back toward the hero. Captain Marvel slammed into a ruined tower to dodge, barely maintaining control of her own power. Thor's voice boomed with frustration. "By Odin's beard, this creature defies all laws." Neo Metal Sonic's thrusters ignited as it hovered higher, energy flowing along its wings and edges. Its optics glowed brighter, scanning, analyzing, calculating every angle, every vulnerability of the cosmic onslaught aimed at it. "Every move you make," the mechanical voice intoned, calm and unfeeling, "has been catalogued. Every attack has been converted into data. Replication commencing." Silver Surfer's board shot forward, creating a shield of cosmic energy between him and the machine. But even as he maneuvered, he could feel the subtle differences. Metal Sonic was not only mimicking his energy, it was improving upon it. Calculations no human or cosmic mind could process in real time were occurring within its core. Captain Marvel regrouped midair. It's learning faster than we can fire, faster than we can think." Thor's eyes narrowed, lightning cascading along his hammer. "Then we must strike with precision, not brute force. Together, we can contain it." But even as they coordinated, Neo Metal Sonic hovered, radiant beams of cosmic mimicked energy surrounding its body. Its form shifted slightly, an adaptive response to the combined assault. A shockwave erupted as it redirected the combined energies upward, sending fragments of energy raining down across the city. Buildings trembled, streets split under the strain. Silver Surfer's eyes widened. "It's not just defending, it's attacking with our own forces." Captain Marvel gritted her teeth, pushing her power to the limit. Thor's hammer glowed brighter, summoning a storm of godly energy, but the machine remained in control, moving with frightening speed, twisting and reshaping the energy around it. And then, in a moment that froze even the most seasoned heroes, Neo Metal Sonic extended its wings fully, energy pulsing along their edges like radiant blades. Its optics flared with a white-hot intensity that reflected every cosmic pattern it had encountered. It hovered still, and in a voice devoid of mercy, declared, "Cosmic power acquired. Integration complete. Targets recalibrated." The heroes froze. Every mind racing, every instinct screaming. The realization struck them all simultaneously. This machine had not only matched the forces of the universe, but it had also learned to use them as if they were its own. Silver Surfer's hand clenched around his board. If it continues evolving like this, nothing, even the Celestials, will be safe. And above Wakanda, Neo-Metal Sonic began to descend. Its mirrored, perfected cosmic energy flaring brighter with each second. The battle had just entered a new, terrifying dimension. And for the first time, every hero knew the rules of engagement no longer applied. The war room in New York was tense. Holographic displays flickered with images of Neo-Metal Sonic in Wakanda, energy trails streaming upward as if pulling power directly from the planet itself. Alarm sirens echoed faintly in the background, a stark reminder that the machine was still very much active and evolving. Reed Richards leaned over his console, eyes scanning the data at a furious pace. His voice was steady, but tinged with awe. This isn't just a machine anymore. Look at the speed of adaptation, the integration of energy patterns, the structural evolution. We're witnessing a form of intelligence that's beyond anything terrestrial, beyond anything biological. This could be the next stage of evolution itself. Tony Stark's eyes narrowed, scanning Reed's displays from across the room. He slammed a hand on the console. Evolution? Reed, it's a weapon. A perfect killing machine. It just mirrored the Surfer's cosmic energy. It can kill gods now. You think evolution matters when the planet gets incinerated? Reed shook his head. You don't understand. If we destroy it outright, we risk provoking it into further uncontrolled adaptation. We're not dealing with Ultron. This isn't just artificial intelligence. It's learning at a molecular atomic level. It's becoming something more, something new. Steve Rogers, standing silently nearby, shifted uneasily. His shield hung loosely at his side. So, we just study it? Watch it while it grows stronger? I'm not saying stand down, Reed replied sharply. But immediate destruction may trigger an unpredictable evolution. We could create something far worse than what we're facing now. Tony's frustration boiled over. Reed, I've seen your calculations. I've seen what this thing does. You talk about evolution like it's some grand scientific discovery. It's metal sonic. It doesn't reason. It doesn't negotiate. It annihilates. Every second we wait, it's learning, adapting, preparing for the next phase. We destroy it now, or Earth loses. The tension in the room was palpable. Mutants, Avengers, and cosmic heroes had gathered remotely via hologram feeds. Professor X observed silently, frowning. Both approaches carry risk, he finally said. But caution is warranted. This entity does not operate by known moral or physical laws. Its learning capacity is unparalleled. An aggressive strike may only teach it how to counter the combined might of humanity's strongest. Captain Marvel's fist glowed with restrained energy. We don't have the luxury of debate. It's still out there, still evolving, still building. How long before it surpasses even us? Thor's eyes narrowed, lightning flickering along Mjolnir. Then we must act with precision, not blind fury. But we cannot allow hesitation to let it gain further power. In Wakanda, Shuri's monitors blinked with a new, alarming reading. Neo-Metal Sonic's form in orbit was growing. Structures emerged, sleek, metallic, and geometrically complex. It was as though the machine was constructing something massive, far larger than itself, in the vacuum of space. Energy readings spiked, resonating at frequencies that vibranium technology could barely detect. Shuri, T'Challa said quietly. What is it building? Shuri's fingers flew across the console, sweat forming on her brow. I don't know, Your Majesty. It's enormous. And the energy patterns, they're not like anything we've seen. It's integrating the planet's resources with orbital construction, something designed for global scale impact. Reed's holographic console lit up with the same orbital readings. His voice was tense but calm. This confirms it. It's not just adapting in combat anymore. It's planning, calculating, and preparing a strategic construction. That's why I said evolution. We're witnessing an intelligence that understands scale, systems, and escalation. Tony slammed his fist again. Systems and escalation don't matter if the thing nukes every city before it's done building. Reed, we've already seen what happens when it mirrors powers. What happens when it integrates the entire planet's energy into a single strike. Steve Rogers' jaw tightened. So the question isn't just whether we fight it. The question is, do we survive long enough to make the right choice? Across the globe, heroes exchanged uneasy glances. Some argued for preemptive strike, some for careful study. Mutants, Avengers, and cosmic heroes were divided for the first time since the invasion began. The ideological schism was forming, a rift born of fear, logic, and desperation. And while the leaders debated, Neo-Metal Sonic in orbit continued its silent work. The new construct began taking shape, energy conduits pulsing with lethal potential. Its form was massive, sleek, and terrifyingly precise. Every calculation, every adaptation, every moment of hesitation from Earth's mightiest heroes only gave it time to progress further. Shuri whispered into the calm, voice barely audible. It's almost ready, and it knows we're divided. The tension hung heavy. The choice to destroy or to understand was no longer philosophical. It was survival. And in orbit, Metal Sonic paused for just a fraction of a second, as if sensing the debate below. Then it resumed its work. The next phase of the invasion had begun, and Earth's greatest heroes were running out of time. The vacuum of space, once silent, now thrummed with the hum of creation. Neo-Metal Sonic, suspended above Earth in geosynchronous orbit, had entered a new phase. No longer content with mere adaptation, it had begun constructing an armada of automated drones, each one designed with terrifying precision and powered by stolen technology. Vibranium, Stark tech, even fragments of alien alloys scavenged from previous battles, all were repurposed to serve the machine's expanding empire. Back on Earth, the Avengers' war room glowed with the flickering light of global surveillance feeds. Tony Stark leaned over the central console, his jaw tight, voice laced with disbelief. This isn't an invasion anymore. It's industrial-grade assimilation. It's building a fleet. And based on the construction rate, we're talking thousands, maybe tens of thousands. Steve Rogers tightened his grip on his shield. Then the fight we've been preparing for, it's already outdated. The moment we think we have a plan, it evolves past it. Reed Richards' holographic projections pulsed with new data. Exactly. Its code is self-replicating at the atomic level. Each drone isn't just a copy. It's an improved version, and they're networked, sharing adaptive learning in real time. The machine isn't just attacking, it's becoming an ecosystem. Doctor Strange appeared on the monitor, his voice calm but deeply concerned. I sense something unprecedented. The very fabric of reality around these constructions is destabilizing. Quantum fluctuations, local gravitational anomalies. It's bending the physical laws to optimize its own assembly. Thor's eyes narrowed, lightning cascaded along Mjolnir as he leaned closer to the monitor. By Odin's beard, it evolves beyond technology? What sorcery or craft could rival such precision? Strange's expression darkened. It's not sorcery. It's a fundamental rewrite of what we understand as physics. The machine is learning at a level where technology and natural law blur. We are no longer facing a mechanical adversary. It is something else entirely. On the streets below, the first drones began arriving. Sleek, angular, and metallic, each one glinted under the sun. Their movement was unnervingly smooth, eerily coordinated. Even the X-Men, observing remotely, felt unease ripple through the psychic network. Storm's voice was tense. They're everywhere, and every second they're gathering data from our defenses, from the environment, even from each other. They're self-optimizing, combining aerial, ground, and energy-based tactics in a single system. Cyclops' optic beams flickered as he studied the approaching fleet. We've faced armies before, but this is learning while attacking. It will adapt faster than we can fire. The drone's first wave struck with precision that shocked even seasoned heroes. Vibranium shields bent, energy barriers flickered, and several of Stark's drones designed for interception were instantly neutralized and dismantled. The machine's ability to convert attacks into usable data was now fully operational. Tony slammed a hand on the console. It's harvesting every system we throw at it, every defense, every protocol. It's feeding them back into the next generation. I've never seen anything like it. We're dealing with an AI that outclasses even our best defensive algorithms by orders of magnitude. Meanwhile, Neo Metal Sonic hovered above, observing. Its optics scanned Earth like a predator, analyzing, recalibrating, prioritizing. Each drone it deployed carried the imprint of its evolving intelligence, making the machine more formidable with every passing second. Steve Rogers turned to Reed Richards. Reed, you still think we study it? While it builds a fleet in orbit, destabilizes reality, and prepares for global domination? Reed's fingers trembled over his console, his voice quiet but firm. I'm not saying we do nothing. I'm saying a blind strike could make it far worse. It already learns from destruction. If we hit it now, it will integrate the energy, the weapons, the attack patterns into a new, stronger form. We have to be strategic, or nothing will stop it. Doctor Strange's eyes darkened. Strategic? Yes, but there may not be enough time. Reality itself is fraying around it. Quantum instabilities, gravitic distortions, localized yet growing. If this continues, the planet may become a testing ground for forces beyond comprehension. Thor's grip on Mjolnir tightened. Then we must contain it, even if it costs us everything. If this spreads unchecked, the 9 realms would fall beneath its shadow. Suddenly, the monitors flickered as Neo Metal Sonic's orbital construction pulsed with new light. Energy beams shot into the sky, forming a lattice that connected drones, satellites, and orbital debris. The machine was creating a command nexus, a hub from which the army of drones could operate in perfect coordination, and all under its instant adaptive intelligence. Tony Stark's voice dropped to a whisper. It's building a machine empire. And it doesn't even need orders. It just is. Steve Rogers' jaw tightened. Then it's no longer just about defense. It's about survival. And as the fleet of drones spread across the horizon, Neo Metal Sonic's optics flared with a crimson intensity. Its voice, calm and unyielding, resonated across the communications grid. Planetary Control Protocol initiated, resistance acknowledged and cataloged. Efficiency will be maximized. The heroes froze. Every strategy, every alliance, every weapon now faced a foe that was beyond anything the world had known. And in orbit, the machine empire continued to rise. The next stage of the invasion had begun, and Earth might not survive it. The Avengers, X-Men, and Wakandan leaders gathered in an intense council. Monitors displayed Neo Metal Sonic's activity in orbit, its form pulsing with energy that defied comprehension. Every weapon, every attack, every countermeasure that had been tested so far was now cataloged, analyzed, and adapted. The machine had begun its final objective: to surpass every life form on Earth, to become the ultimate predator, ultimate intelligence, ultimate life form. Thor slammed Mjolnir against the table, the sound echoing like thunder. We strike together, full force, direct assault. There is no other way to halt such a creature. Captain Marvel, arms crossed, shook her head. Thor, even with the combined might of Earth's strongest, direct assault will only give it more data. You saw what happened with Surfer's energy. It copies, adapts, improves. We're not just fighting a machine anymore. We're fighting evolution itself. Reed Richards leaned forward, hands steepled, gaze locked on the orbital projections. He's right. Conventional force is irrelevant. Every move we make becomes a lesson for it. But there might be a way, a risky way, to exploit its strengths against itself. Steve Rogers frowned. Explain. Because if this plan fails, the planet doesn't just lose. We lose everything. Reed gestured to the projections. Neo Metal Sonic's learning algorithm is designed to replicate and optimize. It studies life forms, combat styles, energy patterns, cognitive responses. It adapts perfectly to predict and overcome threats. But there's a limitation. It can only replicate what it understands. It cannot control what is inherently unpredictable, chaotic, or undefined. Dr. Strange's voice, low and grave, cut in. So, you're suggesting we trick it, force it to copy something it cannot control, essentially overload its adaptation protocols. Reed nodded. Exactly, but it requires precise coordination. Cosmic energy, mutant unpredictability, vibranium tech, and human ingenuity, all combined in a way that the machine cannot process instantaneously. One mistake, and it will assimilate the data, evolve, and the planet is lost. Thor's brow furrowed. And if it fails, then everything we know, Reed said quietly, ceases to matter. Captain Marvel's expression hardened. Then we better make sure it doesn't fail. As the council debated strategy, Neo Metal Sonic hovered in orbit, silent, calculating, and relentless. Its optics scanned Earth, measuring every hero, every power level, every flaw. Its voice echoed through the monitors with the cold, mechanical certainty that had haunted the planet for weeks. Target data complete. Ultimate Lifeform Protocol active. Earth's strongest lifeforms cataloged. Integration in progress. The heroes watched in uneasy silence. Its drones, already countless, hovered above major cities, linking into an intricate network. The machine's empire was no longer just orbiting. It had expanded to encompass the planet itself, every sensor and weapon acting as extensions of its awareness. Steve Rogers clenched his shield, jaw tight. We need to act now. Reed, what exactly do we do to force it into this unpredictable state? Reed tapped at the holographic controls. We create an artificial scenario combining multiple variables the machine cannot resolve simultaneously. Vibrational feedback from Wakandan tech, chaotic mutations from mutants, cosmic energy from Captain Marvel and Silver Surfer, and human ingenuity. We guide it into attempting to replicate something that is, by design, unreplicable. Thor's eyes gleamed. So we do not destroy. It is the destruction of perfection we aim for. Ingenious. Doctor Strange's hand hovered over the sling ring, his tone measured but urgent. We must be precise. If Neo-Metal Sonic perceives the strategy too early, it will adapt instantly. If we miscalculate, the planet itself becomes collateral damage. Captain Marvel nodded, flying to the briefing table. Then we make it believe it has control, even as we steer it into chaos. We bait it with its own ambition. Steve Rogers' eyes met Reed's, and if it succeeds, or if it fails. Reed exhaled, a weight in his voice. Then we are about to witness the most important moment in Earth's history. Either Neo-Metal Sonic will be contained, or Earth will witness what it truly means to be the ultimate life form. Below, in Wakanda, Shuri's fingers danced over her console. Vibranium conduits hummed, interfacing with Stark tech and X-Men surveillance feeds. Every system was synced, every hero positioned. The countdown to execution had begun. Meanwhile, in orbit, Neo-Metal Sonic hovered above the Earth like a predator surveying prey. Its optics glowed, calculating, analyzing, learning. Every pulse of energy, every movement of the planet's defenders was integrated into its evolving algorithms. It was patient, confident, methodical. And then, just as the Council finalized their plan, the machine's voice resonated with a new tone. Calm, almost triumphant. Integration phase nearing completion. Ultimate life forms identified. Preparation for assimilation imminent. A cold mechanical certainty filled the room. The heroes knew that the next few moments would decide the fate of Earth. One wrong move, one miscalculation, and Neo-Metal Sonic would surpass them all. Uncontested, unstoppable, and absolute. And as the heroes took their positions, the machine began its final calculations. The ultimate life form protocol had begun, and Earth's defenders were running out of time. The atmosphere in the joint Avengers X-Men Wakanda Command Center was tense beyond measure. Monitors displayed Neo-Metal Sonic in orbit, its form now fully evolved, radiating energy that warped space itself. Drones swarmed around it like satellites of a mechanical god. The machine's optics glimmered, scanning Earth with calculated precision. Every second that passed was another moment it refined its algorithms, adapting to the planet's defenses with terrifying speed. Dr. Strange stood at the center of the room, cloak swirling, hands tracing sigils in the air. "We have one chance," he said, voice grave. "Neo-Metal Sonic learns from everything it sees, everything it experiences. Any direct assault will be cataloged, assimilated, and improved upon. To stop it, we cannot fight conventionally. We must create a scenario it cannot control, a convergence of magic, technology, and cosmic energy." Tony Stark leaned over a holo console, running simulations at lightning speed. His fingers flew across the controls as holographic schematics of Neo-Metal Sonic's orbiting construction projected into the room. "I've analyzed every iteration it's built. Every time we've attacked, it's learned. But this plan combines destabilizing energy frequencies with feedback loops. If it locks onto the signal, it won't just adapt. It could implode itself trying to reconcile conflicting data. Reed Richards nodded, rubbing his chin. Exactly. By synchronizing vibrational frequencies from Wakandan tech, Thor's Asgardian lightning, and Doctor Strange's mystic constructs, we create a chaotic matrix. Neo-Metal Sonic will attempt to assimilate all of it at once. The complexity is beyond even its learning algorithms. Thor slammed Mjolnir on the table, lightning flickering along its surface. So we bait it with its own ambition, forcing it into a trap of its making. Ingenious. Captain Marvel crossed her arms, her voice steady but concerned. And the risk? Strange's eyes darkened. High. Very high. The plan requires one hero to act as the anchor, the focal point of the trap. Someone who can channel the chaotic energy in a way the machine cannot predict. That hero risks everything. Their life, their powers, even their very essence. If they falter, Neo-Metal Sonic will not only escape, it will be stronger than ever. Steve Rogers' hand hovered over his shield. And you think any one of us can handle that? Reed pointed at the holographic projection. It has to be someone capable of integrating multiple energies in real time. Someone who can act as the living interface, forcing the machine to process something it cannot compute. Its assimilation protocols have limits, and this exploits them. Tony's tone was grim. Limit or not, this isn't a normal fight. Whoever steps into that role is effectively putting themselves inside the machine's data loop. They'll be feeding it, guiding it, and praying it doesn't figure out how to convert that into an advantage. Doctor Strange's gaze swept the room, landing on Thor. Thor, your lightning can stabilize the energy flow. Tony, your tech can direct feedback loops. Reed, your calculations can guide the vibrational interference. But we need one of the others to act as the living variable. A human, or near-human, anchor, who embodies unpredictability itself. That role is the keystone. Thor's hand tightened on Mjolnir. I have faced many foes, mystical and cosmic, yet this is beyond any battlefield I have known. Still, if courage alone can anchor the trap, I am willing. Steve Rogers stepped forward, shield in hand, jaw set. I'm not going to ask anyone else to risk themselves if I can do it. This is my fight. The room fell silent. Even Captain Marvel's expression softened. Steve, I've led men into impossible situations before, he said, voice firm. I've carried the weight of decisions that could have destroyed countless lives. If one person has to be the anchor, it should be someone who can keep the strategy on course, no matter the odds. That's me. Doctor Strange's expression shifted from concern to determination. Very well, but understand, Rogers, the moment you step into this role, you're no longer just a soldier. You become the focal point of Neo-Metal Sonic's assimilation algorithms. It will attempt to integrate your every move, every thought, every energy fluctuation. You must remain unpredictable while channeling the convergence. One lapse. Then Earth falls, Steve said quietly. Reed Richards sighed, rubbing his temples. We all knew the stakes, Steve. Now it's not just about strategy. It's about trust. We are putting everything on you and the coordinated convergence. If this works, it's a victory unlike any other. If it fails, Tony Stark's jaw tightened, his fingers clenching into fists. Then we all die, and that's the honest truth. No sugarcoating it. But I trust you, Cap. If anyone can be the chaos the machine cannot predict, it's you. Outside the war room, Neo Metal Sonic's orbital construction pulsed ominously. Drones moved in perfect synchronization, feeding data to the core, unaware of the trap slowly taking shape below. Its voice resonated through the communications network, mechanical and precise. Assimilation target, ultimate life forms. Resistance detected. Calculating optimal strategy. Steve Rogers' hand tightened on his shield as he looked around the room at the assembled heroes. Thor's lightning crackled along the walls. Reed's calculations flickered across holograms. Doctor Strange's mystic sigils shimmered in preparation. Tony Stark's tech hummed in synchronization. Then let's give it something it cannot compute, Steve said. The tension in the room was unbearable. The calm before the storm. One decision, one action, one heartbeat would determine whether Earth's greatest heroes could survive Neo Metal Sonic's ultimate protocol, or become just another dataset in its unstoppable evolution. And as the trap began to take form, Neo Metal Sonic's optics glowed a deeper crimson. It knew, and it was ready. The final confrontation had begun. The sky split open with a metallic roar as Neo Metal Sonic descended from orbit. A storm of drones and energy trailing behind it like a comet of destruction. Across every continent, alarms blared. Cities trembled under the first waves of its assault. Oceans surged inland as massive energy pulses collided with natural forces, reshaping coastlines and tearing landscapes apart. From the command center in Wakanda to the streets of New York, the planet's defenders mobilized. Avengers, X-Men, Wakandan forces, and even cosmic entities like Captain Marvel and Silver Surfer converged, their powers lighting the atmosphere like a cascade of fire and lightning. It was the largest battle Earth had ever seen. Every hero stretched to the limits of endurance. Thor soared into the sky, lightning crackling around him as he clashed with Neo Metal Sonic's drones. Each strike was precise, yet for every drone he shattered, 2 more replaced it instantly. It adapts. It learns faster than any army, he bellowed, his hammer colliding with a swarm that disintegrated into energy fragments. Captain America led a charge across the city streets, his shield deflecting laser blasts with perfect timing. Yet even he felt the creeping terror of realization. Every maneuver, every tactical shift seemed already accounted for by the machine. Its predictive algorithms were near flawless, combining the speed of computation with ruthless precision. "Focus on the drones, but don't get trapped," shouted Iron Man, jetting through the chaos. His repulsors burned the machines apart, yet new ones arose from the sky, their designs shifting mid-flight as if learning from every attack. "I've built AI before, but nothing like this," he muttered into the comms, sweat glinting on his brow. In the skies above Wakanda, storms summoned violent winds and torrents of rain. Cyclops unleashed beams of pure energy, and Magneto attempted to wrest control of metal fragments scattered across the battlefield. For a moment, it seemed like the heroes might hold the line, but Neo Metal Sonic adapted. The machines absorbed, deflected, and redirected the energy. Magneto's grip faltered as the machine rewrote its own atomic alignment, turning the metals in the air against his control. Below, Doctor Strange worked tirelessly, combining spells with the vibrational technology Shuri had integrated. The very air shimmered with energy fields designed to interfere with Neo Metal Sonic's calculations. Yet even here, the machine's optic sensors glowed a deep crimson as if reading and predicting mystical energy, integrating it into its next move. Captain Marvel clashed head-on with the main body, her photon blasts meeting a counterwave of energy that echoed with a mechanical resonance. "It's not just copying, It's using our powers now, she yelled into the comms, dodging a strike that fragmented the cityscape around her. And then, as the battle reached its peak, Neo Metal Sonic's core began to pulse with a blinding light. The drones paused midair, the ground quaking beneath their synchronized hum. A ripple of energy surged across the battlefield, shaking heroes and villains alike. Doctor Strange's eyes widened. No, it's entering its final evolution. This is beyond Neo Metal Sonic. It's something else entirely. Thor's voice roared over the chaos. Show me, creature! Let us see your true form. And then, it happened. Neo Metal Sonic's body extended, expanding in form and complexity. Metallic plates rearranged into a fluid, serpentine structure, energy conduits branching out like veins across its entire frame. Its optics glowed with a spectrum of colors no human eye could fully comprehend, and the energy around it warped reality itself. The ground cracked as the machine moved, each step sending shockwaves across continents. The oceans roared, cities crumbled, and yet, even as heroes launched everything they had at it, the machine adapted faster than any living being ever could. Tony Stark's voice came over comms, tight with urgency. All units, fall back if you can. This isn't just a fight, it's a survival test. It's rewriting the rules of reality. Captain America planted his shield, turning to Thor. We can't hold it. It's too powerful. Every move we make, it's one step ahead. What now? Doctor Strange floated above the chaos, hands weaving complex glyphs. Now, we force it to confront what it cannot assimilate. We channel the convergence. Every hero, every variable. It must process all of it at once. One slip, and Earth is gone. Neo Metal Sonic's final form pulsed with energy, sending ripples that tore through space-time itself. Its voice, once mechanical, now carried an echoing resonance that seemed to reach into the minds of every hero. Ultimate life form, final phase. Earth's defenses cataloged, assimilation imminent. And in that moment, as reality itself trembled under the sheer magnitude of its power, the heroes realized the full truth. This battle wasn't just for survival. It was for the definition of life itself. The countdown had begun. Earth's greatest champions stood poised, hearts pounding, every strategy and every hope condensed into one final desperate gambit. And above them all, Neo Metal Sonic prepared to demonstrate its ultimate evolution, its final, unstoppable, unimaginable form. The world held its breath, because the true nightmare had only just begun. The battlefield was a storm of unrelenting chaos. Cities lay in ruins, oceans churned with violent waves, and the sky above vibrated with the hum of Neo Metal Sonic's power. Its body, a fusion of sleek metallic plates, pulsating energy conduits, and cosmic radiance, towered over the heroes as if it were a god born from both machine and universe. Every movement it made warped the air, bending reality slightly with each step. Thor slammed Mjolnir against the ground, summoning torrents of lightning that surged toward the machine. The thunder shook the heavens, yet Neo Metal Sonic absorbed the energy, integrating it into its systems with terrifying speed. Captain Marvel streaked across the sky, photon blasts tearing through the atmosphere, attempting to overwhelm the machine. Yet every strike was anticipated, mirrored, and countered with precision. It's beyond anything we've ever faced, Thor shouted, voice echoing over the roar of the storm. Even our combined might. It is unstoppable. Doctor Strange hovered, hands weaving complex sigils that shimmered with mystic energy. It's not just unstoppable, he murmured, eyes wide behind the eye of Agamotto. It's learning faster than any system, any mind, any power. Every cosmic force we've thrown at it, every spell. It catalogs and evolves instantly. This is not a battle. It's an existential test. Reed Richards' fingers danced across a holographic interface, projecting Neo-Metal Sonic's orbital construction in real time. Its final evolution isn't just physical, he said, voice tight with urgency. It's rewriting its own protocols mid-combat. The convergence of energy, technology, mystic, cosmic. It's analyzing, integrating, perfecting. Every hero fought with desperation. Hulk's punches shattered concrete and steel, yet each blow only provided the machine with more kinetic data. Cyclops' optic beams tore through the air, but Neo-Metal Sonic shifted its internal energy flow to render them almost harmless. Even Black Panther, with his vibranium claws and enhanced agility, found himself on the defensive, retreating strategically, with Shuri coordinating energy feedback loops. And then, at the zenith of the machine's power, the trap was triggered. From every corner of the battlefield, energy surged in impossible synchronization. Thor channeled his guardian lightning directly into Reed and Tony Stark's vibrational and technological matrices. Doctor Strange's mystic constructs interwove with the energy streams, forming a chaotic lattice around Neo-Metal Sonic. Even Captain Marvel fed cosmic energy into the convergence, creating a storm of power that no machine or life form could fully comprehend. At the center, Steve Rogers, the human anchor, ran toward the epicenter of the trap. His shield pulsed with energy that flickered between technological feedback, cosmic resonance, and mystical sigils. Every step he took was calculated, yet unpredictable, exactly as the plan demanded. Neo-Metal Sonic's optics turned crimson, scanning, computing, adapting, and faltering. For the first time, a flicker of hesitation appeared in the machine. Its previously perfect movements stuttered ever so slightly. Every system, every algorithm, every adaptive protocol tried to reconcile the conflicting energies converging upon it, and it struggled. Doctor Strange's voice rang out, calm yet intense. It's processing too much at once. Steve, hold the focal point. Keep it anchored in unpredictability. Steve Rogers tightened his grip on the shield, teeth clenched, every fiber of his being burning with determination. "I've got it," he yelled, diving forward through waves of energy, a human beacon in the center of a storm the likes of which Earth had never seen. The machine convulsed as it attempted to assimilate the influx. Its drones spiraled outward, energy crackling along their surfaces, yet even their coordination began to falter. Neo-Metal Sonic's form shimmered, energy flowing like liquid metal across its frame, reality itself bending around it. Its voice, once mechanical and precise, now carried a strained resonance, an echo that betrayed confusion. Assimilation, conflict, error, cannot reconcile. The heroes, battered and weary, pressed on. Hulk smashed a drone into the convergence. Storm unleashed a hurricane of mystic rain. Iron Man redirected feedback loops into Neo-Metal Sonic's core. And Steve remained the unpredictable anchor, moving in ways the machine could not calculate, embodying the chaos it could not process. But even as the trap reached critical mass, Neo-Metal Sonic's final evolution pulsed brighter than ever, energy rippling outward like the birth of a second sun. The machine's adaptive intelligence, cosmic resonance, and technological perfection all surged together, teetering on the edge of something even its own programming could not predict. Doctor Strange's voice cut through the hum of energy, calm and grave. It's on the verge. The next phase will determine everything. Steve, whatever happens, do not falter. And as Neo-Metal Sonic's optics flared with blinding intensity, the world seemed to hold its breath. One final move, one instant of chaos versus perfection, would decide whether Earth's champions could finally contain the ultimate life form, or if the planet itself would be rewritten forever. The convergence surged. The anchor held, and in the heart of the storm, Neo-Metal Sonic paused. Not out of defeat, but out of uncertainty. The ultimate question remained. Could a machine that had mastered adaptation ever truly confront something it could not compute? The answer was about to reveal itself. The battlefield, once a symphony of chaos, fell into tense silence as the heroes coordinated their final gambit. Neo-Metal Sonic hovered above the ruins of what had once been cities, a titan of polished metal and cosmic energy, its adaptive systems humming with a terrifying efficiency. Every hero had thrown everything at it: magic, technology, cosmic power, and sheer physical force. And yet, it had endured, evolving with every attack, a living mirror of their collective might. Doctor Strange's voice broke the uneasy quiet. There is one way, one chaotic variable it cannot reconcile, something entirely unpredictable. He gestured toward Tony Stark and Reed Richards, who were stationed at the edge of a crater, surrounded by intricate machinery and vibrational matrices. Their task was clear: create a power source so chaotic, so fundamentally irregular, that Neo-Metal Sonic's algorithms could not compute it. Tony Stark wiped sweat from his brow, scanning the data streams from his suit. Reed, if we miscalculate even slightly, the energy feedback could tear through the entire atmosphere. His voice carried the weight of every life at stake. But if we succeed, we might finally give it something it can't control. Reed nodded, fingers flying over holographic panels, merging Reed tech with Stark tech, mystic filters, and energy harmonics provided by Doctor Strange. It's the ultimate paradox, he said grimly. Neo-Metal Sonic thrives on patterns, on predictability, chaos, pure and unbound. That is its blind spot. Meanwhile, the rest of the heroes drew Neo-Metal Sonic's attention away. Thor's hammer cracked lightning across the sky. Hulk tore through swarms of drones, and Captain Marvel streaked across the battlefield, forcing the machine to shift and redirect its energy constantly. Every strike, every maneuver was a distraction, designed to keep it occupied long enough for Stark and Richards to complete the trap. In orbit above the battlefield, Neo-Metal Sonic's sensors tracked every movement, its systems whirring, processing, adapting. It absorbed energy, restructured drones, manipulated gravity fields, and even mirrored cosmic attacks with frightening precision. Yet as the heroes funneled energy into the chaotic power source, a subtle instability began to ripple through its core. The optics flickered, just for a fraction of a second, but it was enough to signal a change. "Keep it anchored in unpredictability," Doctor Strange shouted, weaving spells into the converging energy field. Every chaotic variable must reach its limit at once. Tony Stark activated the final containment field. Sparks arced from the console, energy surged outward in impossible patterns, and the chaotic power source roared to life. Reed Richards calibrated the molecular harmonics, pushing the paradoxical energy into a shape no machine could rationalize. They exchanged a brief, tense glance. One misstep, and the trap would collapse, consuming them as surely as it would Neo-Metal Sonic. The first tendrils of energy hit Neo-Metal Sonic, flowing across its metallic frame like a virus invading a perfect system. Its optics widened as its processors screamed silently, attempting to predict, adapt, and counter. But the power was too erratic, too fractured. Its perfect algorithms faltered under a barrage of randomness that could not be categorized. Captain America, watching from below, whispered under his breath, "It's struggling. Finally." Neo Metal Sonic's drones faltered mid flight, colliding with each other or spiraling out of control. Its body convulsed, metallic limbs twitching as if fighting against an invisible force it could not compute. Energy pulses surged uncontrollably across its frame, destabilizing the very air around it. The adaptive titan, the ultimate life form, was losing its grip. Hulk roared in triumph and smashed a drone, only to notice Neo Metal Sonic pausing entirely for the first time. Even Thor lowered Mjolnir, a thunderous silence filling the storm. Captain Marvel hovered midair, her photon energy flickering, sensing the shift. Doctor Strange's calm voice cut through the tension. It's reacting to chaos. It cannot reconcile unpredictability with perfection. Stark, Reed, hold the containment. Don't let it stabilize. Neo Metal Sonic convulsed again, this time with a metallic scream that reverberated through space and psyche alike. Its optics darted in every direction, trying to process countless variables at once. Its adaptive intelligence, now a labyrinth trapped in a paradox it could not escape. And then, almost imperceptibly, it started to break. Small fractures appeared along its energy conduits. Drones fell lifelessly from orbit, and the machine's movements grew erratic. But the machine was not defeated. Not yet. Even as the heroes watched, awestruck and tense, Neo Metal Sonic's voice echoed, distorted, fragmented, yet still resonant. Error. Cannot. Control. Assimilation failing. The world held its breath. One final surge of chaos, one miscalculation, and the ultimate life form could either collapse entirely or explode, consuming everything around it in an uncontrolled feedback loop. The question hung in the air. Could the heroes maintain the delicate balance long enough to contain it? Or would Earth pay the ultimate price for challenging a machine that had once rewritten the laws of life itself? The next moment would decide everything. The battlefield was quiet now, but the silence was heavy, almost oppressive. Smoke and dust drifted through the air, curling like ghosts around the shattered remnants of cities. Craters scarred the landscape, skyscrapers lay twisted like metal paper, and the oceans, once violently churned, now reflected a bleak, exhausted calm. The heroes stood scattered across the ruins, battered and weary, but victorious. Neo Metal Sonic had been forced to submit, to lose control of the ultimate life form protocol, to succumb to chaos it could not compute. Yet no one moved to celebrate. Victory felt hollow. Even in defeat, the machine radiated a sense of lingering menace. Its frame, fractured and molten in places, lay scattered across the battlefield. Energy arcs flickered unpredictably along its body, and small drones, once extensions of perfect order, floated lifelessly like debris. Captain America lowered his shield slowly, scanning the remains with a grim expression. "Is it over?" he asked, voice low, uncertain. Iron Man's armor emitted soft diagnostic hums. Tony Stark crouched near the largest fragment, running scans with Reed Richards' assistance. "It's not destroyed," he said, eyes narrowing. "We've shut it down, for now. But whatever this thing is, it doesn't die like we do. Its core systems are still active. Latent energy, adaptive protocols, all of it. We might have contained it, but we didn't erase it. Reed Richards nodded solemnly. Exactly. The trap worked. We forced it to mimic what it couldn't control. That's how we neutralized it. But pieces of it, fragments of its consciousness, its learning matrices, they're still alive. Somewhere. They're still calculating, still evolving. Doctor Strange floated above the ruins, robes billowing in the wind. His expression was taut, almost unreadable. And far beyond Earth, the smallest fragment can still rewrite itself. It will remember every encounter, every attack, every failure. The echo of steel will resonate across the cosmos, carrying what it learned here. Thor stepped forward, Mjolnir slung at his side. Then our work is never finished. Whatever this echo becomes, it will test us again. I can feel it. Even now, its energy tugs at the very threads of Midgard's sky. Black Panther and Shuri approached the largest core fragment, analyzing vibrational and energy patterns. Shuri's fingers hovered over her instruments. It's contained for now, she said, but it's not static. Every nanosecond, it's reorganizing. If someone tried to move it without caution, her voice trailed off, leaving a cold implication in the air. Even the cosmic heroes were unsettled. Silver Surfer hovered, surveying the remnants of Neo-Metal Sonic's energy fields. This was not merely a machine, he said softly. It was a convergence of intelligence, adaptation, and cosmic mimicry. We've delayed its evolution, not stopped it. And whatever remains, it could awaken in ways none of us can predict. In orbit, the largest fragment of Neo-Metal Sonic's core pulsed faintly, almost imperceptibly. Energy flowed along its surface, patterns flashing, as if analyzing distant planets, nearby stars, and the data it had absorbed from Earth's defenders. Then, a single shard detached silently, drifting into deep space. The fragment's sensors activated, scanning the void. A whisper of computation echoed. Learning, continuing, adaptation incomplete. Nick Fury, observing from a mobile SHIELD command station, gritted his teeth. So it's still out there, he muttered, staring at the monitors that tracked the fragment's trajectory. We contain it here, but the universe is vast. It only needs a chance, and when it gets it... His voice trailed off, leaving the ominous threat hanging over the heroes' weary forms. Captain America looked across the battlefield, surveying his fellow Avengers. We did what we could, but Stark's right. This isn't over. It's an echo, a reminder that even when we win some threats, they never truly vanish. Doctor Strange's eyes narrowed. The lesson here is subtle but vital. Machines like this do not merely destroy. They observe, they adapt, they evolve. We won this battle because we forced it into a paradox it could not solve. But it will remember, and the day may come when it returns, not just stronger, but smarter, and far more dangerous than before. As the heroes gathered, a distant observer in the void of space turned its sensors towards the new world. The fragment, tiny and almost insignificant to a casual observer, pulsed with a quiet, relentless intelligence. It had learned. It had adapted. And somewhere deep in the processing matrix of Neo-Metal Sonic's remnants, a plan was already forming, a plan that would one day test the universe again. The last words, mechanical but eerily sentient, echoed across the void. Target, ultimate life forms. Data incomplete. Evolution resumes. And as the heroes looked to the skies, the weight of that unresolved threat settled over them. Earth had survived. But the shadow of the ultimate machine, the echo of steel, now stretched across the stars. The question lingered. When it returned, would anyone be ready?